My name is Kayla Spelling. I'm a Kentucky girl with wild hair and green eyes who's not just a photographer and videographer, but a midnight designer too. I'm a visual storyteller with a creative spirit that knows no bounds. As a creative junkie and Aquarian sun, my love for all things creative runs deep. Being a visual storyteller for over a decade has allowed me to work with some seriously impressive clients across all spectrums, fueling my desire to learn and explore how people experience the world. What do they have in common? They all live and breathe their passions. So, inspired by their experiences, I launched a podcast to hear theirs and other stories on how they broke the 9-to-5 mold and pursued their true purpose in life. My goal is to empower listeners with knowledge and inspire them to live their most authentic and fulfilling life by following their passions. Join me on a journey where we'll explore spiritualism, consciousness, writing, culinary arts, tattooing, music, travel, media, and so much more. As an Aquarius, I know that I'm full of surprises, but one thing's for sure. We're in for a crazy journey into this world of creative junk. Hey there, fellow creative junkies. Welcome back to Creative Junk, the place where inspiration and passion collide. I'm your host, Kayla, and this week, get ready for a magical journey with some seriously extraordinary individuals who are fearlessly following their passions. This week's guest holds a special place in my heart. We met on a tour through Germany and Prague last July, and let me tell you, it was a wild ride. Picture this. Me, a newbie tour director, navigating big tour buses through the winding roads of the Czech countryside in search of haunted castles. And guess what? My guest was right there with me, embracing the adventure with kindness, laid-back vibes, and an undeniable spirit for exploration. Plus, she's a photography enthusiast. Seriously, it's her profession. So, of course, I had to bring Crystal on to spill the beans about her passion for travel, photography, the paranormal, and how it all weaves into her incredible projects, from writing books to starting a digital paranormal magazine and hosting a weekly Small Town Tales podcast and also radio show The Gateway. Crystal is the definition of a creative force. Speaking of the Small Town Tales podcast, if you're tired of the same Hollywood paranormal stories, you're in for a treat. Crystal explores the supernatural through local lore, interviews with artists, chats with spiritual healers, and real investigators. None of that TV drama, just real stories from the heart of small towns. Now, a bit about Crystal, or should I say C.L. Thomas. Born in Pittsburgh, a graduate of Belmont University, a fine arts photographer, author of Speaking to Shadows, and currently based in Las Vegas with her golden retriever and Maine Coon cat, which, by the way, does make a brief appearance on the podcast. Enough chit-chat. Let's dive into this exciting episode with the one and only Crystal. Get ready for a roller coaster of paranormal tales, photography adventures, and so much more. Let the journey begin. Good. It is so good to see you.
I know. I haven't talked to you in like a long time.
I know. I was just so glad that you decided to do this with me because I'm like, if anything, we'll just reminisce about Germany and Prague, like, why not?
I tell you what, those trips with Maria, they tend to be the most life-changing trips ever. I don't know why that is. I've been on 2 of them with her now, and the one in Romania, I still dream about the places there. That's how...
Really?
Yeah, it's like I left a piece of me in Romania somewhere. And this Germany trip, it wasn't so much the places. I did find out that I have some ancestors. My great grandmother side of the family had went through Prague, through the Jewish quarters at one point.
Oh, wow.
So that was kind of neat. I got to like trace back a little bit. I've been trying to do a lot of genealogy and stuff, but anyway, where was I going? That the places weren't so much in Germany that was life-changing. It was the people I've met on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think here's my theory on it, because I've been on 2 of her tours now. And I think it's the type of people that her tours bring in, right? Because it's people that are, I feel like, are on this journey on a similar journey. It's like similar interest, and everybody kind of has their own interest and strengths and things like that. But
Mhm.
we're all interested in the same thing, which is like exploring the world in a different perspective, right? Like kind of lifting that veil and seeing beyond what just normal things are going on, right?
Right.
And so I think it's that type of people that she brings in for that. And that's what makes it even more special. Cause I noticed that too on the slash trip that I was on, which I was in Romania. And I have to totally agree with you. There's something magical about Romania. I
There
don't know what
is.
it is.
There
Yeah.
is.
It's incredible. Like it just was surprising to me because I was going in for work. Like I was helping, lead the tour. And I was excited to go because I love everything about Dracula and all of that.
Yeah.
But just like being there and like traveling through that countryside, I think Vlad's a big help in that too, just immersing you into that country. But there's just something about it, like walking through those castles and even just like the small towns. There's just something about it that's so
There is.
intriguing and it stays with you.
Mhm. It definitely stayed with me. I have dreams about that place. I'm gonna have to go back. One of the things that I want to put together is a travel paranormal magazine. So, the first
Yes.
issue, it's gonna be by location. So, Romania is gonna be the first issue. So, I'm
Oh,
putting
that's
it
cool.
together.
So are you doing like, I mean, gosh, we're jumping ahead. How about we circle back to that? Because
I'm
I,
sorry.
I have a lot of questions about that. No, I'm sorry. We're just like casually talking, which I love. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, I want to talk about that. But um, first, so to kind of rehash, so we met on a trip to Germany and Prague. And that was my training. So I was so nervous. And I didn't know that Maria was going to like give me half of the tour to lead. So I thought I was just going there to like shadow her and learn. And she's
Have
like,
some
oh no.
fun.
Yeah, no. She's like, oh no, I'm going to give you the last 5 days of the tour. It's like, oh, great. Okay. So it was an adventure, even just for that alone. But it was so awesome just getting to know you because you were so kind and helpful and understanding too. Because as you know, you're a seasoned traveler. Things happen on
Things
tours.
happen. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you
Absolutely.
just
And
have
you
to
can't prevent it.
exactly. You can't prevent like how certain people on your tour is going to react or
Mhm.
how certain places, it could just be randomly that they want to like do restoration. They're like, sorry, we have to close. It's like, what? We've been talking to you for like 4 months. What the heck, you know?
Right. And, the thing is that the Europeans are so different too in the way they do things. It's very different than America. And I think
Yeah.
that the people on our tour sometimes don't realize how different it is, the culture.
Yes.
So they tend to get upset about stuff that is just really part of their culture over there.
Yeah, and living over there now, I'm so used to a lot of that stuff now, like especially the walking. I think the walking and all of the stairs and stuff is always a huge challenge for Americans, especially for like their first trip coming over
Mhm.
and not just used to all of that walking. And yeah, that was something I even noticed on my trip to Romania that I really had to. I made sure on the um, opening meeting, the debriefing, basically, to really stress that, especially in Romania, as you know, because there's a
Yes.
lot of stairs. And, but even with that, still, there were some people that it was just almost too much. And it's like, yeah, that's just how it is over there. What could these castles, of course, it's a hill up to them because it was for protection, right? They're not going to have
Right.
a road that just goes right straight into. But yes. So I ran into, we had things that we ran into on our trip, but it was also just very magical and fun. And you were always just so like go with the flow. And you were just always immersed in what you were seeing. You're like, I don't really care as long as you just drop me off somewhere. I'm good.
I tend to be like that anyway. I've had it's been a while now, probably about 15 years ago, I had stage 2 cancer. And
Mm,
so that was pretty much a life-changing event for me. So now I realize
yeah.
that, a lot of stuff really doesn't matter anymore, stuff that we fret about and stuff. things I usually get upset about now are other people. I get sad if somebody doesn't like me and, little stuff. But
Yeah.
the big picture stuff that you really can't control, there's really no point in overreacting and things like that.
I think especially when you're in a different country, you're like, I
Yes.
mean, I may be on a bus, but I'm in Germany or I'm in Italy or wherever it is. Like, it's either that or I'm on my couch in Cincinnati, Ohio, or wherever, you know? So,
Right.
yeah, it's that perspective shift.
Yeah. I don't know. The Germany trip too, we spent a lot of time on the bus, trying to get from point A to point B, it seemed like.
We
We had a
did.
lot of little mishaps in between there, but I thought it was it was fun. I mean, we got to know people better and it was adventurous. It was part of the adventure for sure.
Exactly. A mysterious adventure, right?
Yes. Yeah, it was fun.
Well, how about you introduce yourself and just tell me a little bit more about what you do. So, from what I've gathered from following you on social media and reading your bio and stuff, I see a lot in the photojournalism realm. You are an author, which I can't wait to talk more about, and your interest in the paranormal and how that I feel like it all intertwines. Which obviously you mentioned the travel magazines, so yeah, just kind of tell me a little bit about your background and your passions in life.
Okay. So I try to keep the paranormal separate from my real job life stuff, but it's been a long journey to get to where I'm at now. I work in media. I do a lot of media stuff. So I started out in photojournalism. I've done a lot of videography. I've been the managing editor of a couple magazines now, and now I do a lot of public relations stuff. Sorry, it's my cat Loki.
Aw, hi, baby.
So I do a little bit of everything. Right now, I don't work full time for a company. I do contract work. So one day I could be shooting a commercial, and then the next I'm doing like a whole PR campaign for somebody. You just never know what's coming next, I guess. Um, I've been kind of on tour for some people the past 6 months. I'm about to head out again in January. So that's been a lot of fun. I've met a lot of people doing that. Paranormal, it kind of found me. I was like age 2 or 3 when I started having paranormal experiences. So I kind of grown up with it and forgot about it for a little bit when I was in medical school and trying to finish school. Long story short, I had to drop out of med school and picked up media instead. Um, but then I lived in a haunted house in Nashville and it kind of just started everything over again. So I was like in my 20s when that happened. So I
Can
have a
you
book
can
out.
you tell me? Oh, so you have a book about it. Sorry, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to interrupt. Okay.
yeah. Dancing with Demons, I just released that, and that's what that book is about. It's it was the first time I ever was afraid of the paranormal because
Okay.
before I just didn't have any reason to be. But yeah, I released the book to try to talk about that experience because I felt like it's so different than what most hauntings are.
Do you? It's just interesting that like you ran into. It seems to be following you, right? Like this kind of
Yeah.
connection. So do you believe that you have any like? Are you like an empath or anything like psychically sensitive?
Yeah, I hate putting those labels on myself though because I feel like
Sure.
it puts you on like some kind of pedestal or something, and I don't like that. um, I am a medium. I've been doing that for a really long time. I've been working recently with a guy from the Finley College to develop the spirit art aspect because I am an artist. So I'm pulling both of them together to do a lot of spirit art for people.
Oh,
So
that's so cool.
it's really interesting. I like it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I had no idea that you were a medium. That's so
Yeah,
cool and neat.
I
I'm
don't like,
sorry to interrupt, but just like it's just cool that you're intertwining that in with your art. I think that's really beautiful.
it's been an interesting lifetime journey for me with all of this.
Before we dive more into that, I wanted to circle back with you were talking about that you're now in contract work, and is that just like a choice that you made that wanting to kind of have that freedom of kind
Yeah.
of choosing what projects? Okay.
Yeah, I kind of got burned out. I used to go to an office every day with a really high stressful job and, magazine work. It never stops. 1 month is
Totally right.
done, you got to get the next month out. And then I did a lot of political stuff as well. So it was like round the clock, always busy, busy. And I just didn't like the office scene anymore. So tried to do something different.
Yeah, I know. I totally understand that. The biggest reason why I made the shift into freelance originally was because I wanted to be able to have the freedom to travel to see my boyfriend who's Belgian. And so, to work digitally, remotely. And then, we just really were like, this is serious. We need to make this commitment. So then it really made that transition with me moving there a lot easier. But even if he wasn't in the picture, I was still at that point kind of the same. Not that I've probably been working in the corporate realm since 2014. So not super, super long, but it still was enough and I tried different industries. I was in Nashville for a long time. I worked at a record label under Sony, which is fun.
Oh, that's fun. Were you
Yeah.
on
And
Music Row?
no, we were actually in Franklin.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, which I
Franklin's.
liked. Because I liked going downtown occasionally, but I really liked Franklin, where I was like
Mhm.
away from everything and I could have like some solace.
One of my really good friends used to live right off of Main Street in one of those old Victorian homes. And so we used to go there all the time and do like the little pub crawls and the
Oh
Christmas
my
stuff that they used to
God.
have. We had a lot of fun.
Yes. Oh my
We
God,
had so
that
much
town
fun.
is so beautiful. It's so classic. When my partner came here with his parents, it was like his parents' first time to the States. So I had to think about, oh my gosh, where do you take them? And it's like their first trip. So my family's from Kentucky. And so I thought, well, Nashville would be a really great way to take them. It's not that far. And they like country music. So I was like, we got to take you to Music City. And so I had to take them to Franklin. So I'm like, it's very that like Mayberry, old Southern
Mhm.
town
Very Civil
vibes.
War, yes.
Yes,
A lot of
exactly.
haunted stuff. And I'm really surprised that, I've hung out around Franklin downtown for a long time. I'm surprised it's not on the paranormal radar because there
Yeah.
are so many haunted locations there, like Carton Plantation. You have the Carter House. You have that big Civil War battlefield that's in there.
Gosh, with that battle that happened there and all those people that died, it's like, of
Mhm.
course, it's like Gettysburg, right? You're just going
Yeah.
to have all of these souls ended so instantly and horrifically. Yeah, that is interesting that they haven't like made that a
Mhm.
predominant spot for people to go to investigate.
Yeah. Or, it would be a really good thing for the Mysterious Adventures tours too to look into because there's so many haunted places around Nashville. It's not just Franklin.
Yeah.
It's Nashville's pretty haunted too. Even the Capitol is haunted, and you can get in there.
All right, Maria, you heard it first here from Crystal. Put together a tour in Nashville. It's super haunted. We love it.
I mean, people would totally love it. I think they could go to the
Yeah.
country music museum there. There's I forget the artist's name. She's got that really strange house. I can't remember her name, but it's a huge estate and it's haunted. You can go there. You
Oh,
can go
that's
to
cool.
there's just so many places around there.
See, I was living there for a few years and I didn't even know about all these cool haunted places I could have checked out. What the heck?
You didn't know me, see?
Exactly. We missed each other down
I
there. If
know.
I would have known you, it totally would have been different.
Totally, because I would have taken you everywhere.
Yes, absolutely. Hey there. I know this conversation is super interesting, but let's take a quick break. Here's a special message from our awesome sponsor. Divinely selected places have secrets and mysteries within them that cannot be explained, manifesting as hauntings, spectral entities, and supernatural energies, and are all found around the world in the most obscure corners. Unveil the best-kept secrets of the world with Mysterious Adventures tours. Immerse yourself in the mystical explorations of curated travel experiences, handpicked by passionate ambassadors and guides. Brace yourself for an unforgettable journey that promises to carve out memories like no other. Satisfy your wanderlust by visiting mysteriousAdventurestours.com to learn more about their future tours. It's time to tour the mystery and embark on an enigmatic odyssey that will leave you spellbound. I'm a circle back person. And you were mentioning with your cancer diagnosis that you had a few years back and how that really changed your perspective. I also, living in Nashville, had a near-death experience. And it's the same thing for me now. It's like things that normally would have just completely stressed me out, or even like on a trip, things like that, things out of my control. Now I'm just kind of like, whatever, because it's like I had that one moment in my life where it was like it could have been gone in an instant. And so now it's like it's none of that stuff is important now. I just want to like enjoy myself where I'm at, meeting people like you, having these conversations, even just spending 30 to an hour of our day just hanging out and chatting. Like those are the things that are important to me now,
Same. It just I call them the uh-oh moment in life. Only select people seem to go through something like that. And when you do, it's just so life-changing that everything's just flipped upside down.
Yeah.
And so your perspective's changed. It's like once you meet death face to face like that, you realize a whole lot of stuff just doesn't matter, especially at a younger age.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and obviously it has not stopped you from anything. Like you've been traveling like crazy, which is fantastic, and doing these contracted jobs and writing these books. You have a podcast that's out. So I would love just to kind of hear more about any other, like any projects that you kind of want to like focus on, maybe some that you're like really proud of that you would just really love to share.
Something that's already finished or something that I'm working on.
Let's start with finished, and then we could talk about something you're working on, and it can be like a tease too. I recently interviewed friends of mine. They're coming out with a book next year. So they can only give me little nuggets. But I was like, I'll take them. I'll take the little nuggets.
Well, I have released 2 books in the past year. Speaking of Shadows is a historical fiction, and then Dancing with Demons is my own story with the paranormal. I'm working on 2 new ones. One's going to be historical fiction, and it's based in Virginia City. And the other one, it's going to be spiritualism in the paranormal. So I'm exploring like spirit communication and kind of the next steps with the paranormal. Right now, all we have is like all the teams, and all they do is collect evidence, to prove if something exists or not. And I feel like we're past that step. So I think that's what the piece is going to be about. And then I'm also working on a documentary. So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm interviewing a lot of mediums and people who do like holistic healing and metaphysics.
Oh yeah, like Reiki and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a trip planned to Mexico, so I'm going to go talk with some shamans there and film them. And then there's a couple other locations I'm going to.
Oh, that's so exciting. I'm a sucker for documentaries. So as soon as that baby is out, I'm totally watching it. That's awesome. That's really cool.
I don't know when that one will be out, but because it's taken me a lot of time to find the who's who, because, it's really hard to find shamans in different cultures, particularly, and get them to talk. Nonetheless, film.
Yes.
So
absolutely. And you have to also kind of weed through the shams, right? Because there's just, I feel like especially, I would say the past few years, an oversaturation in the spiritual community, which, so I'm Reiki certified. And one of the things that has been really upsetting for me when I've been on like social media is seeing people like charging the ridiculous amount that they're charging people for their spiritual services. Like it's sickening to me, because if you're a spiritual healer, your job, your focus should be to help in healing people. And of course you need to make a living to survive. I'm not discrediting that. by any means. You don't need to do it for free because energy costs,
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah, it's become a monopoly. And I've noticed that a lot with a lot of spiritual people, doing these workshops for the weekend, and it's like $5,000 and you're going
Yeah,
to get
it's
like
crazy.
fulfilled in your life. And it's like, come on, people, like, no. So I'm sure too, for you, it's a lot of like weeding through and researching and maybe even talking to some of their clients or something, just to make sure
Yeah.
that they're like legitimate in what they do.
Yeah. And then especially Haiti is one of the places I'm looking at. And,
Mm.
there's a language barrier, so I'm having to get translators. The part of Mexico I want to go to, I'm going to have like a bodyguard with me at all times. So it's just a lot that's going into it.
So do you shoot it yourself or do you have like a cameraman come with you?
So I'm going to shoot it myself this time. I have all the equipment. It's something I want to work on myself right now. So yeah, I'm going to shoot it myself.
No, that's awesome. All power to you. In school, so I love filmmaking. So in a perfect world, I really wanted to go to like film school and be a film director. That was like my goal in life. But in Kentucky, you only have so many programs for that. Now it's a little different. They're incorporating a lot more media. So I ended up getting into the advertising realm, which they did bring in some video. So I learned DSLR shooting, basic,
Hmm.
and so that was great. And, I'm so glad that I learned that and I have a lot of fun with it. But, so yeah. So anyways, I'm always like, yeah, you do it. You do it yourself. And that's awesome. I love it.
I am going to get help with the editing part. So I do have a little team there in England. They're going to help me edit everything and put it together.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. And going back to your books, are you self-published or are you through a publisher?
unfortunately, right now I am self-published. I'm looking for a publisher though. I'm shopping around. I've looked at a couple of deals with some guys. That's why I'm kind of holding off on. I have another book. I'm holding off on putting that out right now. Um, I'm definitely in the market for a publisher though, because I want to use their distribution and
Sure.
their printer.
I've had two interviews on this podcast, and one of them is with a publisher, and the other one is self-published. And so I always like to ask authors because there's pros and cons to it, right?
Yeah, there
As
is.
self-publishing, you put it out when you want to,
Mhm.
you have complete control. Now the downside of that is distribution, and like the
Right.
marketing's all in you, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, the printer is a big thing too because
Mm.
I feel like no matter as a self-publisher, it's really hard to get stuff printed correctly. Like the printer I
Oh.
used recently, well, first of all, the first batch of Speaking of Shadows that went out, they pulled from the wrong file. So it's a file
Oh
that has
no.
like all of these um, markups and things. It's not the edited version.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, talk about embarrassing. It's like crap. And I've sent that out to people for marketing and all. They probably think I'm a really bad writer, right?
You could just spin it like this is a limited edition. You could see me in my mindset working.
I was so horrified to learn that. But that's the stuff that happens, when you don't have um, a professional printer that's working, that understands publishing and things like that. Dancing with Demons, when that first came out, the printer put a bunch of blank pages in there. So, of course, the table of contents don't match up because they inserted all of the, to
Oh.
save space. And it's like, guys, why would you do that?
Oh my
So,
gosh.
if I was, with a publisher, that wouldn't happen because I would have somebody on that side doing that kind of stuff.
Right. Monitoring
Yeah.
that and checking and yeah.
And I'm kind of
So with
anal about stuff. I'm like a perfectionist. So, every little thing.
well, especially something like that.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It drives me
Like
crazy.
yeah, it's your baby that's like going out there to the world. You're already being vulnerable and then you have to
Right.
deal with stupid printers.
Yes, exactly. So, and then I can market everybody else's stuff and make everybody else look good, but I'm too shy to market my own stuff. So that's the other hiccup.
Yeah, that's a common thing for creatives that I've noticed, even for myself. And I don't know what it is. And I think it is that vulnerability aspect. Like when we're putting out our own work of whatever it is, we're
Mhm.
being open and vulnerable. And so yeah, it's like scared and hesitant. And then it's like, am I pushing this too much? Should I
Yeah.
hold, kind of a thing? And yeah, it's something we just got to get over, we just take out that block and just do it.
It's also one of those things where you know how you have to promote and promote and promote on social media? I hate that because I feel like me, 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 me. I hate that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, yeah, I have to get over it.
Yeah, people got to hear about it. And that is the thing with social media is you never know when someone's going to hear about it. And that's why you do have to post it frequently. But I also get it. It's like if someone actively follows you and all they're seeing is like me posts,
Yeah.
then, you know?
I don't, the trick of it is too, though, you see TV people are a perfect example. They're always promoting their shows at least once a week or so. Realistically, we think that, oh, somebody's going to see our stuff and notice that we're posting about ourselves every 5 minutes or something like that. Reality, though, your stuff only gets in their feeds like once every other week, maybe once a day or something. It's not really as much as what we think it is.
Well, and who is realistically following us every single day,
Right,
right? Like,
right,
I don't even follow any one person every day on my social media. I don't have
right.
time for that, as like what you just said.
Hmm.
So, yes, exactly. There is that.
Yeah. So it's just the mental headspace of it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I like with this podcast, I had a lot of hesitation in putting it out because it was just that vulnerability factor. And I was like, is
Hmm.
this something that like people are even going to be interested in or connect with? And I just really had to force myself out of that and being like, but I like it. I like
Right,
doing it. I like talking to these people and I like listening to it. And that's all that matters, you
right.
know?
I think, the podcasting thing, it makes you grow too.
Yes.
It really does. After 2 years of podcasting, my first 10 shows, I'd say, are just absolute garbage. I'm, I'm still a horrible host. I'd really try, but it's made me grow. Like it's made me step out of my shell a lot more.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk more about your podcast. Tell us about your podcast and, what it's about and like the type of people that you usually interview on that.
So, Small Town Tales podcast, that started 3 years ago and it's paranormal. And I wanted a platform to kind of promote the smaller people because I noticed at that time, this is 3 years ago, I noticed that all the podcasts and stuff, they were only interviewing like TV people. And I felt like, oh, yeah, we heard their story like a million times. So I wanted to get on the people who maybe been in a show that have a great story to tell that we don't get to hear from as
Hmm.
often. So, for instance, Ghost Adventures, they'll interview somebody for like Goldfield Hotel. I'll try to find that guest and see if I can't interview them
Hmm.
on there to get their full story outside of the TV segment of it. So it's more about a small town, I guess. It's like small town legends. Um, People who have experienced the paranormal. Sometimes I'll have spiritual healers on there. I've had a lady on there who channels angels.
Oh, cool.
So just different things. And then my new show, The Gateway, that's actually a radio show. And
So
that
it's like
one,
live, like an
yeah.
online radio. Oh,
Mhm.
cool. Okay.
So that one is broadcasted out of New Orleans, and it's going to be more about mediumship and
Okay.
spirit communication. So that one will have more of the metaphysics on there, mediums, and just people who work in spirit and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. And that just started, right? I feel like you
Right.
just recently posted. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So that's exciting. So for people who are interested, they can get right in the beginnings for the first few episodes, which is great. I would like to go back to, I'm just curious because I don't know what that life is like. Like, as a photojournalist, like, what is a day in the life for a photojournalist? And, like, what are you? I mean, I'm assuming it's probably usually you have a job focus, but like, are you shooting a lot of like landscape? Are you shooting more like candid stuff? I'm just kind of curious about that, that life?
So I was doing a lot of lives. So it was a lot of country music shows,
Oh, okay.
hockey games, a lot of political realm stuff where if there was like a speaker or something like that, I'd have to go shoot that. When I started out, I was working for it was AP, and they sent me down to New Orleans for Katrina. So I covered
Oh,
Katrina off and
wow.
on for several months,
Yeah.
and I just followed FEMA around, documented what they were doing. They were like going through what is the name of those little pockets down there? There's a name for it.
Hmm.
It escapes me, of course. Oh, the wards. They were going down there ward by ward and, cleaning them out, and I would follow
Oh, I
them
see.
for several weeks. There's like the ninth ward, seventh ward, there's a whole
Okay.
bunch of them. Um, that's what I was doing, and I was following like specific families as they were cleaning out and
Wow.
rebuilding their life. So, yeah, that's kind of what it is in a nutshell. Did a lot of live shows, though. It's mainly live shows.
So when I worked at the label, I started out as a web designer, and then I just like fully integrated into the creative department, and they just knew I loved video and all that stuff. So then eventually my last job there, I was a manager in creative services, and my job was solely focused on photo shoots. So it was my job
Mhm.
to the artist and manager would come to me and say,
Mhm.
this is the vision of the album, go. And then I would be like, okay, and I got to figure out what's the location, who's the photographer, who's the makeup artist. So I loved it. It was a lot of fun.
So a lot of people, I don't know if they still do this or not. I still get a lot of royalties from stuff I've done like 15 years ago
Wow,
on the
that's
country
cool.
music side of it. So it's kind of neat. Every once in a while, you get a little check in the mail.
You're like, hey.
So
Love
I
that.
always love that side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. I just never really I do photography like for fun, and it's always just like candidly stuff. But I always just wondered for like a job and stuff like what that day in the life. But gosh, to be part of like Katrina, for example, just like being immersed in all of that. Like I can't imagine that experience. That just had to have been a really wild and humbling experience, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. It was. It's right up there with the cancer thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Just ugh. Okay, so what is currently inspiring you?
Hmm. Gosh, I don't know. There's so much out there. There's a lot of good artists out there right now. It's a lot of good people that's come into my life recently that's really inspiring. I really don't know how to answer that.
No, that's okay. I am totally on a Doctor Who ride right now just because that was like recent with like the 60th anniversary. So like my nerd heart's been like super happy and jazzed. But no, of course, that's just me joking aside. But yeah, I mean, especially like people that you've been able to interview and stuff lately and stuff. And of course, with your traveling, and I can only imagine like all the different people that you've met. So
Yeah, I've met so many people this year. Everything is just like such a big cluster. I need to sit down and kind of focus a little bit. But you know what? Out of all these places, one of my favorite things to do is to go to the local antique mall, first of all, and the local artist hub, wherever that
yeah.
may be. There's always a place where the local artists are selling their artwork and where you can actually go see that their stuff. And I don't know, the local art has really inspired me all over. There's just so many creative people out there right now. It's
Yeah.
great. It's really inspiring.
Yeah. And, doing this podcast, like already just the people that I've talked to, that's inspiring enough for me. Just like everybody doing their thing, doing what they love to do, and it's not necessarily a job for all of them, but it's just what they're passionate about. And
Hmm.
that's contagious, right? Like when you see
Right.
them light up and talk about it, and you can experience that with them. Okay. So, this is normally the question that I always ask every person towards the end. Um, for listeners out there who they're needing some advice and inspiration regarding picking up a hobby, tapping into a passion project, do you have any advice for them that you could give them to kind of help them on their journey?
Yeah, I do. And it's going to sound so cliche, and I do apologize, but it's the truth. Discover who you are. I think discovering who you are is just so important moving forward with any kind of project, because you're not doing it for somebody else. You're doing it for you.
Absolutely.
So, and the other thing is, once you decide what you want to do, like maybe you want to become a portrait painter, find out who's already doing that. There's no competition out there for anything. I just want to put that out there. I feel like, especially in paranormal, there's so much ego and so much competition going on right now. Look to people who are doing what you want to do. Take what you will from it, learn some stuff from it, and then create your own stuff. Don't compare yourself to others. Create your own. Everybody's different, and everybody's artwork is different. So show yourself. That's why you want to know yourself. Show yourself in that project. Put a piece of you in there.
I love that. Exactly. That's what makes it special, because you're right. No one is the exact same. And beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? Especially like when it comes to art. So yeah, like someone could put out something, I'm like, oh, I don't like that. But then it like super connects with my best friend who looks at it. So
exactly.
Yeah, just having that, like, if anything, make it for you.
Exactly.
Create for you. I love that.
I know in the photography world, there's a lot of competition like that. Like you'll have people go and kind of ridicule other people's galleries and stuff like that. I've seen it firsthand. Or me, myself, I was always comparing my work to somebody else's, going, mine's not exactly like theirs, Maybe it's not supposed to be.
Right.
Our artwork is all different. We see stuff differently. So it's going to be different. But the most important thing, though, is support one another in whatever it is you want to do. I see so much competition and ego with a lot of different fields right now. There's no reason for it.
Exactly. We're all here living this life together. You know what I mean? And it's like, until we realize that, we're going to have all of this conflict, right?
Yeah.
So we just really need to embrace each other and see each other for who we all are, which is we're all just one consciousness, really living out these different experiences together, and that every one of us is special in our own way. Before the closeout, is there anything else that you would like to leave listeners with, that you'd like to let them know? Anything else upcoming, or maybe a call out about your podcast, like when that's broadcasted, so they can make sure to tune in?
Yeah, sure. So the lives are every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. You can catch that. I don't have it up on my website yet. I'll have to put it up there. But it's usually on my YouTube channel. I do have a website, clthomas.org, and that's where all of my other projects kind of live. I do a lot of gallery work. Sometimes I do a lot of artwork, like painting. I'm an oil painter. My writings are all on there. So everything's farmed out from that website. You can always email me if you have questions. I'm pretty friendly. You can reach out to me. I always get back to people. I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to put all of those links in your episode description, so that way people can find you. And yeah, I'm wanting to read. Well, now I didn't even realize you had 2 books. I just noticed the recent one that you were promoting, and I was like, oh, I got to read that. But now I got 2 books to read. So I'm excited to dive into those. And, in the future, when you do come out with a new book or even this documentary, I know it takes a lot of time with productions and stuff. But whenever you get to that point, I'd love to sit down with you again and just talk about your passion project, because that's really exciting.
Thank you. I'd love to be on again.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Crystal. Seriously, this was awesome. I loved having 40 minutes of my day just hanging out with you, reminiscing, and I hope to see you on one of Maria's tours coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope I was a good guest.
You did great. Like, absolutely great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This podcast is brought to you by Mind Junk Creative, a creative agency that creates brands and experiences rooted in visual storytelling. By exploring your Mind Junk Creative is able to tap in and explore all of your wild ideas that you may have viewed as throwaways and use them to create engaging stories and experiences for your brands. What's your story? Go to mindjunkcreative.com and follow them on Instagram at itsmindjunk. Big shout out to Crystal for bringing the sparkle to my podcast. Your advice is like a burst of confetti for everyone chasing dreams and passions. I had an absolute blast chatting with you, and now I'm eagerly waiting to dive into your paranormal magazine. And hey, Mysterious Adventures Tours, Crystal and I have got our suitcases ready to go on your next big trip. Dive into the cosmic goodness by clicking those magical links in our episode description and show notes on creativejunkpodcast.com. Don't miss a beat. Follow Crystal on her social media escapades and explore her fantastic projects. And by the way, make sure you catch her new radio show each week called The Gateway. It's like a portal to awesomeness. Keep coming back for the hottest updates from our insanely talented guests on Creative Junk. Trust me, it's a front row seat you don't want to give up. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Come on, find me on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or any of your go-to platforms. Please leave me a review and share it with your friends. I'll be forever grateful. Also, if you have any thoughts on today's episode or must-hear stories, hit me up at hello@creativejunkpodcast.com. You know that I love hearing from you. So until next time, catch you later, folks. Did you love this episode? Well, let's continue the chatter on Instagram and Facebook. We can dish about the latest interview and catch up on all things, well, creative. Plus, check out creativejunkpodcast.com for show notes and other juicy resources to satisfy your creative cravings. Don't miss out on the fun, and hey, thank you for listening.